Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really drilling down into a specific and sometimes complex health area, Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia, WM.
Right. And we're using a pretty packed newsletter from the International WM Foundation, the IWMF, as our source material for this.
Yeah, it's our guide. And our mission today is basically to give you the full picture of what's happening globally.
Before we even get into the impressive research grants and all that, we have to acknowledge the sort of emotional side of things, the human context that holds the community together. Because this newsletter, it sets a really hopeful tone, even though we're talking about a cancer diagnosis. There's this quote from Calvin T.
Right, I saw that.
He says the diagnosis was, concerning and scary at first, which makes sense. But ultimately, he feels WM is not to be feared.
That's powerful.
It really is. And that sentiment, that's kind of the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about, all the announcements.
Absolutely. It's that balance, isn't it? Hope for the future, but tools for living right now. That seems to be their whole approach.
Yeah, very effective.
Okay, so let's unpack it. Let's dive right into the engine room, you could say, the efforts to accelerate the cure.
Right. Where do we start?
Well, we start with a big win. A success story that shows how community effort really fuels the research. The first ever IWMF Golf Classic.
Yes, September 11th, Saucon Valley Country Club in PA.
Exactly. And it wasn't just, a nice day out playing golf. It was a seriously successful fundraiser.
How successful?
72 golfers, 57 sponsors, corporate and individual. And every single dollar raised went straight to that Accelerate the Cure campaign.
That's fantastic. And what's really interesting is how quickly they seem to have built on that momentum.
How so?
Well, just a week later, September 18th, they launched their 2026 research proposal announcement.
Okay.
And this wasn't just sent to a few usual suspects. They sent it out to nearly 300 researchers globally.
Wow, 300 worldwide. So they're actively hunting for ideas, not just waiting.
Exactly, casting a really wide net.
So, coordinating something like that, a global research call.
Yeah.
That must be pretty complex. And what does the funding structure tell us? What are their priorities here?
Well, it says a lot about their focus. The goals are super specific. They want research, clinical studies, too, that will deliver, and this is the key phrase, tangible therapeutic benefits.
Tangible benefits, meaning?
Meaning real results for patients. And get this, within the next 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
Well,
that's quite ambitious in research terms.
It is, and it signals a real push towards rapid translational progress, not just purely academic stuff that might pay off decades down the line.
Okay, explain translational research for us.
Sure. It's, bridging that gap, taking discoveries from the basic science lab.
Right, the bench work.
And translating them into actual treatments that can help patients relatively quickly. It's all about that bridge.
Got it. And the grants reflect that ambition.
Absolutely. They're pretty substantial, anywhere from $250,000 up to $1 million.
$1 million, wow.
Yeah, over 2 to 4 years, specifically for projects that help figure out WM's, molecular basis, how it works, where its weaknesses are.
And they also mentioned a separate award.
For young investigators, which is smart, right? Investing in the next generation of WM specialists. Building that pipeline.
Okay, so that's the future focus. But where do we see the results of their past efforts?
Right here. The IWMF got some well-deserved recognition in the Dana-Farber Impact Fall issue.
Dana-Farber, the big cancer center in Boston.
Exactly. And this is where you see the hard numbers from previous funding rounds paying off. They gave 4 Dana-Farber scientists over $1.1 million.
Over $1 million just to those 4?
Yep. And the grants were aimed very specifically. Find new drug targets, figure out WM's vulnerabilities.
So why is that partnership, that specific funding to Dana-Farber, so significant? Doesn't general cancer research money cover this kind of thing?
Sometimes, but this is different. It's hyper-focused. General funding is broad, right? It covers lots of cancers. This IWMF money is like a laser beam aimed only at WM.
Okay.
They're not just funding general cancer research. They're funding work designed specifically to find and exploit the unique weaknesses of this rare blood cancer. That $1.1 million, that's a direct investment trying to speed up drug development just for WM.
Makes sense. More targeted.
Precisely. And then, sort of bringing this big research push back down to the individual level, they close the section with a story of hope. It's about Jane Cox. She talks about living a better life with WM, and she mentions her relationship with Linda, her official WM buddy.
WM buddy. That's a great concept.
Isn't it? It just reinforces that whole idea. Success isn't just measured in millions of research dollars. It's also about human connection support.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so from the global lab and the big grants, let's shift focus. Let's get into the WM community corner.
Right, the grassroots stuff, day-to-day support.
Exactly. And first up, there's a brand new IWMF support group down in Southwest Florida.
Led by Dr. Charles Newton, right, in the Fort Myers area.
That's the one. They just had their first in-person meeting. It shows the community is still growing, still reaching out, on the ground.
And that visibility, just being seen and heard, is so important for normalizing things.
How do you mean?
Well, look at Bob Perry. He's an IWMF board trustee over in the UK. He was just interviewed on his local radio station.
Okay.
And he brought his consultant, Dr. Helen McCarthy, along with him. And the hook, it was marking 10 years since his WM diagnosis.
10 years. That's a significant milestone.
It really is. And think about the psychological impact of that. Hearing a 10-year survival story, if you're newly diagnosed, that could really shift your perspective.
From immediate crisis to, okay, this is manageable long-term.
Hope. Exactly. Yeah. It changes the narrative.
And sometimes that visibility shows up in really unexpected, almost joyful ways.
Like Anne-Marie Vale.
Yeah, in Rhode Island. She's part of the Providence dance troupe PDT.
The street band.
The very one. Named Best Street Band by Motif Magazine 4 years running, spreading joy with music.
That's brilliant. It's such a great reminder that, a diagnosis doesn't have to shut down your life, your creativity, your joy.
Not at all. And then connecting that community visibility back to the experts.
Professor Shirley D.C.
Right. IWMF board advisor. She was on Declan Cosgrove's Health and Piano podcast recently.
And what were they talking about?
Really practical, non-clinical ways for cancer patients to improve their quality of life. Day-to-day stuff.
So, again, it shows the organization is thinking about the immediate well-being of the patient, not just the medical treatments, the whole person.
Absolutely. Okay, let's pivot now, sharply maybe, to the really practical stuff, education.
Because managing WM or any chronic illness isn't just about the biology, is it?
Not even close. So much of it is logistics.
Yeah.
Finances, insurance nightmares.
Tell me about it.
So first key event coming up, a free Medicare webinar from the PAN Foundation, Tuesday, October 14th.
Okay, PAN Foundation, they do great work. And Medicare, vital information.
Totally vital. It's covering why open enrollment is so critical, how you compare plans, how you might save money, and importantly, the big changes coming to Medicare in 2026. You need to be ready for those.
Yeah, that financial literacy, just navigating the system, it's non-negotiable when you're dealing with a chronic condition. And building on that,
there's the FIE Online Triage Cancer Conference, Saturday, October 18th.
Triage Cancer. They are the experts on the practical, legal, and financial hurdles. This sounds like a must-attend.
It really does. The list of topics is huge. Insurance appeals, paid leave for caregivers, disability insurance, even estate planning.
Estate planning. Is that like a common thing for a medical support group conference to cover?
It seems so, and it makes sense when you think about it, right? Why is that detail so crucial for listeners, do you think?
I think it shows that organizations like IWMF and Triage Cancer get it. They understand that a chronic cancer diagnosis forces you and your family to rethink everything. Not just your medical appointments, but your whole financial and legal setup.
Right, it's not just about health.
Not at all. They've got it broken down. Insurance stuff, appealing if you get denied, caregiver leave, disability applications, and the tough but necessary stuff like estate planning and just managing those potentially huge medical bills.
It's essential preparation, like a toolkit for life with WM.
Exactly, a comprehensive toolkit.
And then rounding out the education piece, there's the clinical side too. The Lymphoma Research Foundation, LRF, has a virtual program.
Living with Lymphoma, November 8th.
Yep. And critically for our listeners, there's a WM-specific breakout session.
Oh, excellent. Who's leading that?
Dr. Yazid Sawala. He's from the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center.
Okay, good stuff. And what else are they covering in that LRF program? Because living with lymphoma sounds broad.
It is broad, but look at the topics. Integrative oncology, sexual health and intimacy, coping with long-term side effects. And this one's really interesting. Coping during active surveillance.
Active surveillance. Watchful waiting. That's a huge mental challenge for patients.
Right. You have the condition, but you're not actively treating it yet, just monitoring closely.
So learning how to cope with that uncertainty, that waiting period, that's just as vital as understanding chemo side effects later on. It's psychological armor.
Well put. Okay, so speaking of living and coping, let's talk about immediate, tangible help. Financial relief.
Always crucial.
This newsletter highlights a fantastic opportunity specifically for U.S. patients from the HealthWell Foundation.
HealthWell, okay.
Yeah.
What's the offer?
Through their specific Waldenstrom Macroglobulinemia Fund, patients who qualify can get up to $8,000.
$8,000? For what, exactly?
For medication copayments or help with Medicare Part B premiums.
Wow. That kind of money, $8,000, that could literally be the difference between someone sticking to their treatment or not.
Yeah.
Facing financial disaster.
Absolutely critical.
And it's really important to stress, HealthWell gets the bigger picture too. It's not just about the drug costs, right?
No, exactly. Their impact goes way beyond that. What else do they offer?
They've got other funds. A cancer-related behavioral health fund that helps pay for counseling, CBT, even transportation to therapy.
That's huge. Mental health support.
Essential. And there's an oncology caregiver behavioral health fund, too, recognizing the strain on families. Plus, a cancer home care services fund for practical help at home.
So support isn't just medical. It's psychological, logistical, the whole package.
It has to be.
And that kind of support, the psychological and logistical, also comes best from peers, right? People who really understand.
Yeah, definitely. Which leads us to the affinity groups.
Right. Two important ones meeting soon. First, the International Young WM Affinity Group.
That's for patients and caregivers under 50.
Yep. Meeting September 30th. Provides that space for younger people dealing with maybe different life challenges alongside WM.
And then there's the WM People of Color Affinity Group, meeting October 3rd.
And they have a guest speaker, Dr. Donna R. Williams-Midagora, DDS.
Okay, so why are these specific affinity groups so important in the context of a chronic condition like WM?
Well, they offer peer mentorship, don't they? A safe space where you can discuss challenges that might be specific to your age group or your cultural background, things that might not come up in a general support group.
Shared identity, shared understanding. Makes sense.
And that support network, it really is global. There are upcoming global partner meetings for the UK and Ireland.
Right. Bournemouth and District on October 13th. With Dr. Helen McCarthy again?
Yeah, she's busy.
Yeah.
And the Island of Ireland support group meets October 20th.
And I saw a note that they specifically welcome British expats living elsewhere in Europe to join virtually.
Yeah, that's great. Making sure geography isn't a barrier to getting that vital peer support and information.
Absolutely. Which actually brings us nicely to the IWMF Wellness Program. This kind of ties everything together, the whole person approach.
Oh, so.
Well, there's this really profound quote in the newsletter from someone who participated in the wellness program.
What did they say?
They emphasized how vital the program is for their mental, emotional, and physical well-being. But the key part is this. They said, and I'm quoting here, "Sadly, there's no IgM number that can measure how important it is to feel stronger and more positive."
When living with a chronic cancer. Wow. Okay, break that down. The IgM number, that's the clinical marker, right?
Exactly. That's the immunoglobulin M level doctors track to see how active the disease is. It's a hard data point.
And this person is saying
that their subjective feeling stronger, more positive, that's completely invisible to the clinical tests, but it's just as important for their quality of life. Maybe more so.
That's a really powerful insight. The stuff you can't measure matters deeply.
Deeply. And filling right into that wellness space, the next practical offering is a wellness webinar. It's focused on vitamins, herbs, and supplements.
Okay, that's always a tricky area. October 30th.
Yep. And the speaker, Kim DeRhodes, sounds ideal. She's got the credentials BS, RPH, an integrative medicine pharmacist.
Okay.
Qualified. But she's also a WM caregiver herself, with 30 years of experience specializing in this.
Whoa. Okay, that combination, the clinical knowledge and the personal lived experience, that's incredibly valuable for anyone listening.
Couldn't agree more. And she's focusing on the practicalities, how to incorporate these things safely.
Right, and how integrative medicine might help with those common, really debilitating WM issues, like what specifically?
Things like fatigue, anemia, that awful peripheral neuropathy so many patients get, sleep problems, digestive health, constipation, and generally supporting the immune system.
So really targeted practical advice for managing daily life with WM proactive stuff?
Exactly. But, and this is a huge but,
okay,
there's a crucial caveat here that the material makes crystal clear, and we absolutely have to stress this.
Go on.
Integrative medicine, things like supplements, they must be used alongside, in conjunction with, your standard medical treatment. They don't replace it.
Right. Complementary, not alternative.
Precisely. And critically, any changes, any supplements you're thinking of taking, you must get the okay from your oncologist, your main medical team. Full approval is essential.
Okay, that's vital. Wellness supports the treatment. It doesn't replace the core clinical care.
Got it.
You got it. So if we sort of zoom out now, look back at everything we've covered in this deep dive, it feels like there are two massive themes, two big pillars running through it all.
Yeah, I see that too. What are they for you?
Well, first, there's that intense, very specific focus on accelerating the cure, pushing the science through translational research, backed by serious money,
Yeah.
That $1.1 million already awarded, the potential for another $1 million in grants.
Right. The big science push, Pillar 1.
And Pillar 2, it's this deep commitment to holistic, practical, often very granular support for patients and families right now.
Managing WM clearly takes way more than just a treatment plan.
Totally. It demands everything we've talked about: financial literacy, legal prep, psychological support, community connection, wellness strategies.
The IWMF seems to be trying to provide tools and resources for literally every single one of those aspects of life. It's incredibly comprehensive.
It really is. In the meantime, we really encourage you to explore the many fantastic practical resources we mentioned today from the IWMF and their partners. Thanks for diving in with us.